So continuing in my tradition of being late for every bandwagon, I finally saw Avengers Infinity War, and I want to talk about it. But what's there left to say about this movie? Everyone's talked about how amazing the script is, how cool all the action scenes are, how amazingly it juggles so many characters, how complex and fascinating Thanos is as a villain, all of this. Everything's been talked to death about this movie, so what's there left for me? Well, as I was thinking about that, I started thinking about more of the movie's details. I started thinking about how boneheaded Peter Quill was at the end. I started thinking about why don't they just kill Vision at the beginning. Also, spoilers. All the spoilers. Why don't they do these things? Make those sacrifices for the greater good. Why care about the little guy like that? And then it hit me. The way they're separating hero and villain in this movie is by just making that the point. By what does it mean to think about the bigger picture versus caring about the smaller details? Do you really care about life if you're willing to sacrifice it so much? Do the ends justify the means? And the more I thought about it, the more that's what really fascinates me about this movie. It's not just how cool all the fights are or all the characters being on screen together or any of that. It's really this sort of idea of people matter, and they should matter. Like, it shouldn't just be the bigger picture. It's not right that the end should justify the means. And that is the decisions our heroes make in this over and over again, and ultimately why they end up failing. And success goes to the guy who is for the bigger picture, because he is so narrow-minded, he is so tunnel-visioned, that there's nothing that can hold him back. There's no stopping him from doing every horrible thing, like slaughtering so many lives, killing his own daughter, and you see all that in him. It's not that Thanos doesn't recognize the pain he causes. It's not that he doesn't realize the people whose lives have been ended because of him. No, he understands all that, and he carries that burden because he is so convinced he's right. He's so convinced this has to be done. He's given up on everything. He is, in a sense, from one decision, become the ultimate good. He's erased all emotion. All he is doing is what he believes is right. But does that also make him the ultimate evil? That he has disregarded all thought and all compassion like this? What does that mean? And I kind of like that the film doesn't really give you a straight answer. We only have the answer of, this is what he did. And this is what everyone's now going to do to stop him. Let's talk about our heroes for a minute. It's a safe bet Marvel gets their heroes right more than they get their villains. Now, I've never been on the hate Marvel villains bandwagon that everyone has been on. I do acknowledge many of the villains in these films, considering the well-writtenness of all the Marvel movies as a whole. I do think the villains lacking is a big problem, but to me a big part of that is that the heroes stand out just so much. There's not enough room left for villains to truly take hold, unless you have the very rare examples of your Killmongers, your Vultures. For the most part, there's just not enough room for them to come in. Well, so this movie kind of takes an interesting approach, and as many people have pointed out, basically makes Thanos the main character. Like what they did with Killmonger and Vulture, they make him seem so sympathetic and so understandable, you can't help but wonder if you would think that. But our heroes, the people who we've spent the time with, we know their moral compasses, we know why they think the way they think, they can't agree with Thanos. And that's really where the sort of multiple film storytelling comes in. We can focus so heavily on how Thanos thinks because we know going into this why our heroes are the way they are and how that comes into play. We know that Tony Stark or Peter Parker or Steve Rogers can't just be like, let everyone die, because they know these people. They're among them. They see themselves as them. They identify with them. They don't view themselves as the Mad Titan. They're on that side, and that is what everything has been building up to in this. You see this throughout. You see it when Doctor Strange at the beginning is like, look, I'll sacrifice both you and the kid. I don't care. But then at the end, what does he do? He gives himself up for Tony. Now, many people have pointed out he only saw one winning future in his 14 million predictions, and we don't know what that winning future is. Well, it's most likely going to be however this executes, but that also means that the winning future is the one where we give in to everything. The winning future is the one where Peter Quill screws up the mission because he's too distraught over losing Gamora. It is the one where Doctor Strange gives up the Time Stone for Tony Stark. In essence, it's that ultimately caring about individual life is the right thing to do. It is good. It is what makes us good people. And that's what separates us from Thanos. It is that ultimate thing that we have to care about each other, or else ultimately we will fail. We have to work each other. You may get your short-term victory like Thanos does, and now he can sit in his weird Polynesian Disney beach resort. I'm sure that would make sense. Disney does own all this. Think about that. Anyways, but that's sort of what we saw with the other great Marvel villains. It was the same thing with Vulture. Both him and Peter are trying to reach this sort of goal, this sort of ideal standard to be identified and have a reaction with the rich people, but one chooses to do it for money and will go as far as to hurt people for it, while the other wants to mix it with doing the right thing. We saw it with Killmonger with the idea of how do we help, shut up phone, how do we help the people of the world? These are these great shut up messages and morals that exist within the Marvel Universe, and it's great to really see it come to a head in such a genius way. Like when Peter Quill has to make that decision to sacrifice Gamora, and that's the difference of Thanos did it. Even if Thanos maybe was more crying about it, where Peter just chose to accept it, it is at the end of the day that he still killed his own daughter, where Peter had to basically be pushed to the point to be willing to make that sacrifice. I'm glad people are really thinking about what Thanos' message is, because it means that this movie is really resonating with people. It's not just a big culmination of people who like to punch. It's a deep meaning to it, and that's really great. And yeah, this is the best Avengers movie. It's a truly genius film, and I love it. A part of me maybe kind of likes Black Panther a little bit more as far as superhero movies go this year, just because I like Black Panther more as a character, and I've been waiting for his movie for so long. But yeah, no, this is a genius film with intelligent script and great characters and truly fascinating moral. And I'm glad it's resonating with people, and it's just so good. Obviously, everyone has seen it. I assume if you watched this far, you saw it. Biggest gripe, though, the ending, as creepy and terrifying as it is, when I realized the people who still have more movies Marvel can milk out of them are the only ones who went away, it kind of took a little bit of it away. Like, I never expected half the universe will be gone forever, but seriously. This was a little on the nose that everyone's coming back. But tell me what you thought in the comment section below. Tell me what you thought about Thanos, this movie, everything else, and if you want me to sort of do more philosophical discussions with films, because unfortunately I can't always get to the movies by opening weekend, so a non-spoiler review is pointless about a week and a half in. But if you want me to do more moral discussion, I'd always be happy to. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and we'll see you again next year when we see the Avengers take on Rick from Pawn Stars.